Well, welcome. If you're not familiar with the Inland Empire Real Estate Investment Club, we've been around for about 5 years. This is our kind of our test to get back into in person with these bigger events. What do you guys think of the food?
Great.
Great. Awesome. So we'll try not to serve enchiladas every single time. We'll get a nice variety of. But basically, this event tonight is Sir Cash's round table. Ed and I came up with this idea. We get a lot of new people in the club, so we thought it'd be really beneficial to just kind of start off this event with, basically what are we doing right now to make a deal, and he's going to go into that a little bit more. But just so if you aren't familiar with the club, we do about 7 events a month right now. Some of them are online only, some of them are in person only, some of them are actually hybrid now, and we're doing both. So if you're not familiar with those events, a lot of people you probably came in through here on meetup.com. All of the events are on there, or if you go to our website, inaugural.org. It's just, again, it's Inland Empire Real Estate Investment Club. Just inaugural.org. All the info's on there, our start times, locations, all that good stuff. We do have a membership package. It's $25 a month. You get free access to all the events. This event was free for this month. Next month it's probably going to be in the $20 range. All our events do have fees to get in the door, but if you remember, to get it in for free. So it's $25 a month in every week for not just one event. So that's like $100 a month for events. It's a great deal. Aside from that, the events, you get access to have some wants at most meetings, which is your time to basically get up in front of the entire room and say what you do, what you want, what you're looking for, what you have, what you deal, try to sell from the room either way. And then you also get access to all the other members as well. So we're going to go into that a little bit more, but if you want to become a member, you can do that on your website. Also, tonight only, we're going to do a discount. It's discount Sir Cash. It's $25 off, which is basically the sign-up fee. We're going to waive that tonight. If you want to become a member, it's like about God about it tonight. And we'll announce that at the end too. So don't worry about it right now. Focus on what Evan's going to be talking about. A little bit about Evan. He has been our mentor now for a few months. He's actually been part of the real estate club for a long time, longer actually. We've done, I think since I came on and started working for him, what have we done now? 50 deals? Something like that. He's done over 100. So all of them buyer rentals, wholesales, everything. So guy knows his stuff. He's not only one mentor, he's my mentor. So I'm really excited to do that. I've been getting this together for weeks now. So you guys are in for a treat. With that, Mr. Evan Brown.
Hello everybody. Can you all hear me? I'm without a speaker tonight. You don't need a speaker. Okay. Got a machine and talk over it. So, first of all, again, thank you for the introduction. Rich, my oldest son. He came on board about 4 years ago. He came up with Sir Cash and everything else. I had to pull him to come into move here from Phoenix. He was a professional headhunter. What we do with houses, he was doing with people. And he was kind of getting tired of the whole wholesaling people. And said, come on over. We have a lot of good things we can do. So he did, and that, and worked at the club, and it's just been an amazing 4 years. I just wanted to let you know what we're going to do is we are going to kind of illustrate back on what we do. Yeah, I've done maybe 100 and something deals, 105, 110. There's a lot of guys done a lot more deals. We're just here showing what we do, okay? I've learned from people that have done 1 deal, 2 deals, or no deals, and I've learned a lot. So, and then I have friends who own a couple hundred houses, and I'm just all ears when you talk. So, what we're going to do is talk about what this really is an introduction to real estate investing. Because there's a lot of different things that I didn't know in the beginning, and I hear every event, all of you, most of you asking the same questions. One of it is, geez, do I buy my own personal name? Should I do that? Do I have to go get an LLC? I heard from those guys that were on TV, you gotta have an S corporation if you're gonna flip it, an LLC if you're gonna rent, or no, it's trust. I should buy a trust. Is that a living trust? Or is that land? And then you don't want to make a decision. I don't know what to do. I don't want to make a mistake. So those are real issues. to in the last few days have even said to me, it's stopped. So, and then for some people, the issue is, do I get into real estate or a mobile home? This whole thing that some of the guys do with Lonnie deals. What's a Lonnie deal? We'll go into that. What's the difference between a mobile home and a park, the space rent, and a mobile home on land? A lot. One's personal property, could be real property, but it's personal property. And then the house is real property. So like a single family residence. So when you're going, well, can I go to the bank and get a loan on one in a park? Not if it doesn't have something called 433. Well, what's that? So we start going down all these paths, and that causes a lot of new investors to stop, and they don't do anything, or they slow down, okay, and they don't know what to do. And so we've seen that. I've seen people come in around 6 months, a year, not just here and others, and they've done one deal, and they wanted to do more, but they didn't. So what's holding them back? What holds you back? I know what held me back, and we're going to kind of go into that tonight, okay? I don't do PowerPoint, sorry, I'm not a tech guy. Richard's a tech guy. That's not me. So I'm using a whiteboard, I have something else here that I'm going to use for my outline, and we're going to go through it. I am going to ask if you would silence your phones, because I'll get distracted easy, and try not to just start walking out the door when I'm in a deep thought, please. It happens. But the other thing is, hold your questions to the end. If you have a question, write it down. I'm glad to get to it at the end. Some of you already started, that's great. I know who you are. You know. And we'll try to get those answers again. With some of the things we do, we have a very successful real estate flipping and rental business. Yeah, we make 6 figures flipping. I know guys who make 7 figures. It's not bragging. We're not arrived. I'm still working. We still flip. We have a 6-figure rental portfolio. It works well. 6 figures in our pocket. We do money deals. We get notes. There's cash flow there. But again, so we're talking, we sound like, oh, we've arrived. That is not the case. We're active builders. And we still do this because we love to do it. Yes, we could stop, but you know what? I always want a little more security. I have new goals, new things that excite me, that I'm going after. So you gotta kind of, so please understand that. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start now, and what I want to ask, I might ask them to call out on you, and I might not. But if you have a question, how many of you are under 30 years of age? Please raise your hand. Under 30. Sorry, girls, I'm just asking. Under 30? Okay. Raise your hands high. Who's under 30? All right. 3 hands. How many of you are within 5 years of wanting to retire? Wanting to retire. Okay. How many of you right now, career-wise, not real estate, with your job or whatever you're doing, you are within 5 years of retiring and you're scared? Anybody, or everyone's good? Yes. All right. The reason why I asked the one know who I'm talking to, how many people here have done one real estate deal of some kind? Either bought a place either with, as an investment, not as a personal house. How many people have done a deal? Jeremy, you better raise your hand. Okay. How many have done more than 10 deals? Okay. All right. Good. Just again, finding out. The reason why I'm asking is, again, who am I talking to? Because, again, there's different things. You know, sometimes there's different language when you're talking between someone that's starting out. I believe it's Bill Cook. It says there's 3 phases of real estate investor. There's a starter, there's an estate builder, and then there's an ender, someone who's like leading real estate or thinking of getting out because they're retiring, they're done, they just want out, no more headaches. We're estate builders. We're still actively buying, selling, in the middle of a bunch of deals right now, several. So like I said, we're actively doing what we say here. If I don't know it, if you guys start going and asking later Airbnb questions, I don't hear Airbnb. All right, one of our friends was going to come tonight, and I know she's kind of not feeling well. She just walked to 2 other places last night. She's going to convert to Airbnb. Great. That's not me. I can show you how to get the house that you can use as an Airbnb. That's the same, but not Airbnb. So I'll tell you what I know, and I'll tell you what I don't know. So we're not going to get into BS. okay? If I've done one deal, I've only done one of those deals, okay. Well, you've got 5, great. One of the things I'm going to go over when we talk about some of the things that we've done, you might say, well, you didn't put this type of lead, and I know that works for me. Great, I'm glad it works for you. We either aren't doing it anymore, or never tried it, or just, like I said, didn't work for us. All right, so we're going to go over those things. One of the things, though, whenever you have any type of lesson or seminar you go to, you'll learn that there's 2 different things. There's content or context. You'll see, like Kiyosaki will talk about context a lot, expanding your mind and learning something, versus the details of how to do this and how to do that. I want to know, hey Evan, please just give me your intake sheet. What do you say on the phone when you talk to a seller? Well, I only have that. I can do a deal. I can do it. Well, what you learn is it really doesn't matter. Oh, by the way, I do have a seller interview sheet. Look at still Chris. I started using these like 8 years ago, and I stopped after a while because I realized it didn't matter exactly that I got everything filled out properly. What matters is I built up trust and a rapport with the seller that matters far more than if they had a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,168 square feet. And you're annoying them sometimes when you're asking them a question because you just said you looked it up on Zillow earlier. You already have my information, right? So some people get bothered by it. So you want to build a relationship when you are on the phone. I'm just sharing something that for some of you that are all the details, I want to know exactly what to say, what form, what contract, okay? That a lot of times that doesn't matter. That's the least important, even though you might think it's the most, okay? You follow me? So I just want to share that, some of that stuff. And let me ask you something. How many, I'm going to read on there. How many know one of the secret of building wealth? We've all read about them. We've all seen a lot. But I'm going to write this real quick. Buy an asset that has a positive cash flow each month. Right? One of the secrets is just by buying an asset, rent a property, a business, whatever that comes in, you put money in instead of borrowing against a boat, maybe. You can go ahead and buy an asset, say around a home, that you're going to make $800 a month profit. Right? It's going to come in. We know that. How many have heard if you buy an asset that has positive cash flow, that is a secret or a way towards building money and building wealth? Who's heard that before? Anyone heard that before? Okay. Anyone heard it years ago, not just recently? Right? You heard that, right? How many have you actually done it? You all know it, right? And a handful have done it, but we all know it. Yet people don't do it. Why? I'm afraid. What if I make a mistake? I don't have money. My neighbor says that's stupid. What if the economy tanks? We saw it before. I lost my house before. What do we do? Right? We have all those issues. So understand that it's not always exactly how, but it's why it's holding us back. So this really is, I want to tell you, you're in the right place at the right time. The Inland Empire, as of a year ago, I don't know the last, is larger than 25 United States as far as the market, as far as industry and people. Bigger than half the country, believe it or not. That came from Lance Martin, a local forward banker that puts off a yearly status of the Inland Empire. That blew my mind. So for some people that think, oh, I have to go out of state, you don't have to. 99.9% of all deals we do in Southern California. All right, I'm an escrow. I have several escrows going right now. Just happen to buying rentals, and the rentals here, and they're going to cash flow. So they do exist here in California. You don't have to go out of state. If you feel that you need to, great. I'm just saying you don't have to. But I wanted to talk to you about that. And something else someone asked, well, the right time. Because you're starting now. If you're starting now, you can say, well, the better time was 10 years ago. Well, great, what does that do? Right? Well, if I only bought from that Jeff Bezos guy that stock he tried to sell me in 1999, fairies could fly. I don't know. The bottom line is that when you decide to do something, you make the best of it. And you learn what's going on in the market at that time. And you go with it. All right? So But I heard something just recently. By 2 different metrics, this is about 6 months old, real estate is cheaper now than it was in 1980. I didn't buy it. Came from Robert Kiyosaki's podcast when he had an economist on. It said compared to gold and oil, it's actually cheaper than it was in 1980, 1982, somewhere right in there. Don't know exactly what year, you want to go look it up. And I went, how can that be? It actually, when you started figuring how many barrels of oil it took to buy a house then versus how many barrels of oil it took to buy now, or how many ounces back then or ounces now. The reason why I wanted to just put that aside, I wanted to share that, is because a lot of people go, real estate's too expensive, oh my God. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But when you buy, get some education, and you buy with knowledge, you can turn something and look at the deal and make it cash flow. Okay? So if it's something you're going to buy and you can cash flow, or you're going to buy, fix, and flip, and you can make $50,000, it doesn't matter if the house was worth $65,000 10 years ago and it's worth $300,000 now. All right? There's a lot of things with that, but I just wanted to share it's not necessarily. That shocked me. But feel free to look that up. I did not verify that. I just went right off what an economist said it on Robert Kiyosaki. But the biggest thing is mark it up, mark it down, or is it sideways? When we started in 09, my wife and I, when we started buying and bought a rental, the market was just trash. A lot of people that just losing their homes, you guys remember? A lot of people that I know were flippers, lost. We were not in the business. We were not. The biggest issue at the time was so many people not knowing, they're going to have a job tomorrow. And we went and bought a single-family house in San Bernardino for $65,000. We still have it today. We put about $12,000 down, which was a lot of money to us. I think we cash flow like $400 or $500 at the time. That was my first real estate deal. All right, we owned our house. We had another rental, but that was as like an accidental landlord. We did not buy it to be a landlord on that. It was something that we lived in, and we saw something, we moved into that, and then we went, oh, we'll just rent that house out. So we don't really count that. But in 2009, when we bought that place, as you know, the market was just flat. I don't know if it was still going dropping or it leveled off. It was just bad. We buy a house for $65,000, fix it up, and guess what? So we're $65,000. That was the problem. So, but we could cash flow all day long, rent it out $1,000, $1,100. So we did it. So the biggest thing is, what is the market doing now? Is it going up? Is it slowed off? Is it slowed down a little bit? Is it cooling off? Well, maybe some say we're going from a red hot market to a normal hot market, or just normal market. Instead of having 30 offers when someone's selling, the wife's an agent, and she's had 6 months ago, there'd be 30 offers on houses. Over asking right now, you might get 3 or 2, which is more of a regular market. That's a good thing. So just keep an eye on that, and we watch as the market leveling off or going down. And how you buy and what percentages and certain things you'll learn later is going to dictate. This will dictate on what you do, how much of a discount you ask for. We'll get into that. So I'm going to talk to you, and I want you to think about assess your strengths. Because the reason why is some of you have advantages that the others do not have, and you have strengths. Some of you have a great job, okay, and you might have great credit, and you can house hack. Some of you are doing that. That's awesome. Some of you can take your job and your 700 credit score and go buy a place and fix it up and maybe rent the rooms out, or you maybe turn an Airbnb. Utilize what you got. So I just want you to start thinking about things you can do versus saying, I gotta find a deal, I gotta find a deal, I gotta find a deal. Because let me tell you, I can hand you a deal today, and as soon as you're done with it, you're gonna go, I gotta find a deal, I gotta find a deal. What we're gonna do is show you how to get deals consistently, okay? On a small budget. If you want to scale up, spend more, great, but you can do it on a small budget, all right? I don't know how many people does that sound exciting to that want to scale up on a small budget and make some money, right? All right, these things you can do. We'll show you the things you can do today, things that we've done, and things we're doing today, okay? But to get there, we've got some stuff to cover. I'm going to tell you this, a couple things. First of all, Zillow forecasts 11% growth in properties for next year. They think prices are going up about 11%. That was from about 3 days ago. Okay? Not saying it is or not. We knew exactly. We could really clean up the market. But the point is, there's a lot of evidence to say it's going to keep going up. For how long? Who knows? We're all feeling it. But there's two things that I've gone by, and it's always be real. When you're talking to a seller, you're talking to another investor, just be real. Be yourself. Don't try to be somebody you're not. Okay? Don't. Just be you. All right? You're a nice person. People like, be honest. And be real with people, you get much farther. I have that on my wall in my office for years. Always be real. Next to ready, fire, aim. All right? Think about it. Ready, fire, aim. I didn't know exactly what I was doing. I didn't know exactly how to talk to someone on the phone. I didn't know exactly how to do it. But one of the people that I had as a mentor, one of the gurus out there, that went to a seminar for a couple $100, and he came out and said, ready, fire, aim. Don't try to get it all perfect. There are groups out there that say, no, you got to get your corporation ready, you got to get your trust ready, you got to figure out all your finances, get your team. Then, it takes you a year, then start investing. You know what? Go out there and make mistakes. Just always have an out when you ever make an offer on a property. And if you have no possible way of close, and you have someone like has an auction, and they're going to, the bank's going to take their home in a week, and you're like just putting it on, don't mess with people's lives. If you're like, oh no, I'm gonna get this under contract, I don't know what to do, I know who to call. You know, you're gonna go ahead, and I'm gonna say the same thing. Have someone on key to call and go, hey, there's people about to lose their house. You don't want you grabbing them on a contract, tying up for 4 days, and the night before they're gonna lose their house. I'm sorry, I can't buy a house. Understand? Don't mess with people's lives. These are the most critical things, is just be real. You don't have to have it all figured out, just one step at a time, and you can make a lot of money, okay? So, copy your way to success. Yes, it's the title of the book, but it's really more of a mindset. I love this book. Basically what it is he goes, we never go and we're basically, it takes a village, right? I was a printer by trade for years. I learned from another printer how to print on ink on paper, how to business cards, etc. That's what I did for 25 years. I learned from another printer. When we learned how to do some other stuff, we learned from another person. If you're a mechanic, probably your dad taught you, or you went to a trade school. You were taught by somebody else. Okay? So what happens is a lot of people, when it comes to finances or real estate, yeah, that's good. I want to figure it all out myself. And so I just want to do it myself. Okay, great. But did you learn to walk by yourself, or did you watch others, and then you took a step and you saw other people walking, and then they encouraged you, you got up and kept going, right? How'd you learn to swim? Did your parents really just take you and throw you in the pool and walk away? Right? No, they showed you. So you gotta understand, we meet a lot of people that go, when it comes to real estate, I want to figure it out for myself. It's like, you want to go for the brutal way, go right ahead. I did some of that. I have stuff to show you, some of my early stuff. It's crazy. But one of the things about copy your way to success is be a sponge. A lot of things I'm saying is not me, Evan Brown from Sell My House and Sir Cash Deals. It's I've heard it from someone like Mick Blackwell, some of you know, or Stephen and Todd from the club, or Jeremy, who's sitting in the back over there. I picked this stuff up from another investor, very successful, that we learned from. Okay, so for example, a real fast way to do here's a little nugget. A real fast way to get to do a comp, if you haven't been able to do any compare, yeah, you can take Zillow, Redfin, and Realtor.com, take all three of them, add them up, divide by 3, and if you're standing in front of a property and you didn't prep, and you're going to meet with this guy, you prep. You can take those, figure out what that number is. So if Zillow's 400,000, Redfin's 450, and Realtor's 350. Add them up, divide by 3, you get 400,000. That'll work 80% of the time. It'll get you close enough to make an offer. We don't regularly do that, but in a jam, it works. I just did this 2 months ago, and I went ahead and bought it. The guy took my offer. I was literally standing going, proud. I did not prepare for this. I just had run over it, and I realized that I didn't have it. But that bailed me out. I got the house, and it's going to be rental. By the way, I paid $120,000 over rent for $1,800. It's a mobile home on land like elsewhere. I did not go to Indiana to find that deal. Matter of fact, we stopped buying out of state to do more deals here and do more mobile home deals. Anyway, so as I said, we learn from others, no need to reinvent the wheel. All right, we all agree, right? Okay. So basically, I just want you to really understand that you don't have to go try to figure it out. You have someone to ask. One thing about the club and mentors, there's someone to ask. Okay, if you're about flipping, you can point to one person. If it's about creative financing, you can point you to another. Okay? All right. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about my journey real quick to give you an idea. 2009, we bought 2 single-family residences. First thing we did though, we bought this house and we put the $12,000 down. Like I said, it was a bank REO. As we were talking earlier, as you know, we were talking about markets change. Right now, there's not a lot of bank foreclosures going on, right? REO, right? They're just not. Something that's owned by the bank that they foreclosed. They're not. They're doing forbearance right now. They're forgiving people and not even starting foreclosure. So markets change. So when we started, bank-owned properties were everywhere. All right? So we can't do the things today that we did 10 years ago because the market's different. Follow me? So when you do read an older book or watch something, you got to understand and make sure that the content is current. But we bought one of the houses, and we did that. And then when we went to buy the second home, which was actually a 2-unit, we were $10,000 short. So what did we do? $10,000 short, went to the bank, borrowed some money because we wanted to buy this place. And I had a motorcycle that got there. And 2009, remember, everything was bad. I tried to sell it for like $5,000 or $6,000, and no takers, no one buying it. Went down to credit union, and they gave me $10,000 for that motorcycle. I took the $10,000 and I came up with the rest of the money for the down payment on that duplex. I still own that duplex today. We gross $2,000 some odd dollars from that thing today. I paid off the motorcycle in 4 years. Later, I sold the motorcycle. But that property is giving us, we probably pulled about $400,000 out of that property between cash flow over 12 years, cash flow, refinancing, and sort of the brakes, get the motorcycle long gone, right? I didn't like to come up with that. Some old guy on TV, Carlton Sheets, late night TV, I picked it up. Take an asset that's just sitting there and figure a way to turn it into an asset, money, to go do something you want to do. I learned it from someone else. So that's one of my favorite deals, but I want to share something with you. What happened though, we did it, now we had no money again. What do we do? 2010 comes along, go to a seminar, some guy on TV, his house guys, right? And they talk to me, they say a couple things. And what I got out of the seminar was not all the details, but 3 things. Partnerships, asking, and other people's money. So we created a partnership. I actually went to some friends and said, who's got money type thing? And we created 2 partnerships we still have today. They funded the money. One friend gave me $100,000. And we still have that business today. They actually called me yesterday and go, you're going to give me another deposit account for the year? And I go, we're working on it to see how it is to get this extra bonus money. So, but I still have that partnership today. I'm not saying partnerships are the best way to go. They are one of the fastest ways to get money and create wealth. Because how fast can you borrow $100,000? How fast can you earn $100,000? Okay, so keep that in mind. All right. Remember, I've done 2 deals, but I had friends with people that I was working with at my job that were some of my early investors. And all those investors I had in 2009 and 10, I still have today. Because again, just say what you're going to do and do what you're going to do. Just be real with people, okay? And do what you say you're going to do, all right? I'm sharing that because we hit walls. We bought a rental, hit wall again. And in 2013, I was one of those other gurus, one of those guys that want to say, hey, Evan, you want to give me $100,000 and I'll teach you? It was one of those upsells. We don't do any of that stuff at all. This club is something that changed my life drastically. And I know I have with Richard, so we're talking about the club and what it's done. You don't need to spend $100,000. $25 a month, man. All right? There's a lot of answers here. But what happened is he said something, this guy named Cody said something that really changed my life. Why would someone give you their house at 50% sale value? Why would you? How could I take someone's house? Right? That was a mind block for me. It was preventing me from doing deals. I could buy on the market from a bank and make money. But when I had to sit with somebody and say, he's selling your house for $400,000, for $200,000 for four, I had a problem in my mind. That was just me. Maybe none of you have had that issue. Anyone ever have an issue? Why would someone sell a house and almost give it away? Am I just taking it from them? Am I being ethical? Right? Well, you don't know what they're going through. What happened is Cody said, people will give you their house at such a discount, you will think you've stolen it, and they will love you for it. And that had just happened to me. I literally bought a 5-unit that I offered for $145,000, $150,000. I said, Mark, I'll give you $150,000 next time you put that on the market. Next time you decide to sell, I want that. He says, okay. I said, just don't make me go into a bidding war. Please, I don't have the money for that. He said, no problem. What happens? 2 weeks later, he changes his mind and puts it on any evidence. I'm going to put it on the market tomorrow. I'm like, son of a gun, Mark, why are you doing that? I told you. I literally chewed him out. I offered a 5-unit apartment complex, Victorville, California, and it's for, I offered $145,000, $150,000. So I get you, I probably do that. By the way, I had $2,000 in my bank account. $2,000. And so what happened is he goes, Evan, I need $108,000 and I need 14 days. It's yours. I go, no problem, clear. Looked over my wife, who by now knew better, said, we need to come up with $35,000 down payment in days. We got to close in 2 weeks on this date. Period. Okay. She goes, I don't know how you do it, but I know you will. Because I've done this a couple of times. She didn't know about the motorcycle either. So I called and found an investor. It was a little pricey. They wanted these things called points. What's a point? You know, percentage of the deal. So it's $100,000 and they want 1 point, it's $1,000. And they want that up front for their fee and security. I think it'd be 4 points or 5 points up front. It's one of the first deals. And it was going to be 10 or 12%. Okay, but it was a 5-unit. It was, by the way, the total combined rents were $1,600. By the time we sold it, it was like $3,200. And I should never have sold that thing. I really did myself. But it wasn't a war zone. But we'll go into that. The point is, we did the deal. We closed. We did it. I called a couple people I worked with. This is why I'm saying a lot of you out there looking everywhere else for money and partners, etc. When you work right next to somebody at work, and you don't know, is thinking, how am I going to put my kids through school? How am I going to do this? And they're being silent because people get fun talking about money. Okay? I'm telling you, this is the real side of the business when you're starting, especially. It's like, is this part? How can I ask you to do that? Right? How can I ask you to? I'm going to give you, how about 50 grand? My house says, Zillow said it's worth 150. You're trying to rob me? Right? So what we did, so in this case, I did the deal, and I said, hey, Mark, I need the keys. I called this guy. This guy was like 24 years old. You know, I was 42 or something like that. And he owned a bunch of property. And so I called him and said, hey, where are we going to get these keys? Because I need those keys. So what happens is he says to me, well, meet me up over here at this address. I show up at the address, right? And I go there, and what happens is, he says, I said, hey, it's a strip mall, and it's mostly empty. There's just a Gold's Gym here. And he's like, yeah, come inside. I'm going to go inside. The guy's pumping iron, and he's going to hand me his keys. I'm like, I get my keys, and get them in my pocket. No idea. So I'm like, okay. So I go in, I'm like, hey, I think he's going to be sitting in the waiting room. Like, is Mark here? I have no idea. And this guy, this counter, this clerk said, oh, he's back in his office. Okay. Follow the guy back to his office, and here's this young 24-year-old guy, muscle bound, in muscle t-shirt. He goes, now you know what my real business is. He had to come up with some money to close a deal, to buy another business with his partner. Guess how much money he needed that day? $108,000. So he had to sell that apartment complex fast to get something else. So I stopped trying to figure out why are they trying to sell on that sense. I'm not going to get too much into, oh my God, why am I going to go ahead and sell or buy that property at such a discount? I must be charming. No, I'm solving the problem for him. He made so much money from that deal that he got into. I heard later he's making like 50 grand a month from the deal, what they was doing. I didn't understand it. All I know is he needed 180 and I got it to him. Cody said that and it just changed. Oh, so we started flipping. But I'll tell you, really within about 18 months after that, we walked away from my jobs, full-time, worthless. I think I left 15 months, she left another 4 months later. I tell you that because sometimes just one statement and one thing that you did can change your life. It wasn't about what did he say on the phone as he was talking to me. It wasn't what form was he using, or please show me your, what your purchase and sale agreement. I need that. It was getting past myself to do a deal. You follow me? Right? That's the number one thing. Like so many new investors show up and go, hey, I want to do a deal, and then we don't see them forever or 6 more months. All right? You get caught up in your own head. So we're going to talk about that. The bottom line is when we did that in 2015, when I walked away early. January 2015, I was able to go to my boss and say, I can't afford to work here anymore. I've been there 25 years, I love the guy. I literally, the money goes out of my bank account when I'm standing here now. And it was the best feeling, and again, I love the guy, but it was the best feeling ever. So how many people want to get out of your job? How many? Come on, honestly, how many? Some of you might love your job. Okay, just ask me. Just want to get an idea. The reason why is after that, guess what happened to me? That was my goal. Now I was just trying to survive. So what happened is I'm literally sitting there trying to find a new goal. All right? And so sometimes you're not sure what it is, and you got to search for it. It's your reason why to do it. Why get out and go find a deal. The couch is awfully comfy on a Saturday afternoon, and there's a couple movies on. And Netflix is going. It's really nice. I like to just, I could get in and binge watch this Game of Thrones. I want to watch the whole thing again. Or I can go driving for dollars. I can work a few more years in my job, right? Or my kids, they can go to a community college school. It's okay, they'll understand. So keep that in mind. These are the things. But what changed for us, especially in 2017, Rich came on board, 2016, 17 right there, and I knew about the club. My other son said, hey, Dad, there's a Screwed Riverside meeting. And I went and looked at it and went to the meeting, and I was missing the entire purpose of the meeting. I just thought it was a networking event. And then my son said, hey, my other son Christian, hey Dad, the guys passed on this deal and pressed on it. And he told us about it. And so we actually went, my wife's being an agent, looked it up, saw it, bought the thing, and flipped this deal, and we made some pretty good money on it, $35,000. That another investor passed on. Okay? But what we started doing is we started plugging in that club, especially when Rich came on board and came up with Sir Cash, and we started plugging into the group and started plugging into that and working with the mentors and using it as more than just a coffee event or networking event. Okay? All right? There's a lot of people who are paying a lot of money for something, and the answer is right here. Just wanted to share some of that stuff. So, in 2017, there was an investor named Aaron Mazzarello. Anyone know him? Anyone heard of him? Aaron Mazzarello? Great investor. I mean, yeah, good guy. I know him. I'm not saying he knows me. He knows me. All right. Anyway, he was speaking like I am right now at the club. He was on stage and he was talking. And he said something again that just spoke to me. And I can't tell you exactly all the details of what he said. He was talking about rentals and cash flow. He said he was cash flowing at the time, I think, $450,000 a year, and why he was investing in California. And some things he said resonated, and I was like, that sounds pretty cool. And he said, Evan, because you're speaking to me, of course. No one else was in the room, right? And he said to me, it's really easy to live on $10,000 a month. He goes, you can't spend it all. And what he meant was, because people go, well, I can spend it, sure, yeah, it's stupid. But what he meant was, pay your bills, do all that stuff, and then if you go crazy and you go buy a car and do something, the money comes in the next month again, and then the next month again. And for 2 years after my job, I was just treading water. It was like making some money. Yeah, we were making some good money. But it was like, no purpose really. So he said, and for me, he just said, well, I can leave for $450,000 a year. That's what he was doing rents. And I went, you know what, I think that's going to be my new goal. And I went after that. And that was a personal thing for me. I just shared it with it. And by the way, a little while ago, he shares this. This is nothing not known. He shares this. He's now telling people his rents in 4 years, he's now collected over $1 million a year in rents. 4 years. Jesus. Great. I'm just like hats off to him. You know, so I thought I was catching up. Not even close. Not even close. Anyway, and then Nick Blackwell in 2019, a lot of us go to a lunch with Nick. He's a one-time investor. He's made me cry twice. All right, because he challenged me. He was like, you know, Stephen, why you wholesale? Why you flip? Why aren't you keeping everything? Why don't you keep every house? Don't you understand? And he was challenging me on the way we were doing business and why we were doing it in a certain way. And he cared. He was trying to get me to understand there's a difference between making money and creating wealth. There's a difference between wholesaling and flipping, even though we do that, and buying and holding. He was trying to get across. And I was trying to convey what we do. And I was getting so frustrated, and he was getting frustrated, I was literally crying. But I came back the next week and did it again and Saturday. So, and he put me through the same spiel. But I listened to him, and I can tell you this, that we started buying and started keeping a lot more rentals. And I share some of this with you because I want you to understand that I don't write well. Okay, so right now these are straight lines, later they're going to turn. I don't speak well, I don't do that. You know what? I love real estate, I love my wife, I love my children, and I love my life. All right? And if you want to get out of your job, or you want to make an extra $2,000 a month, that's easy to do. If you want to make $100,000 a year, you can do that. And the answer is real estate. A lot of different things to do. I just wanted to clear some of that and show you where I'm coming from. So when we talk, so we're going to flip through a lot of stuff. Why real estate? Bottom line. A lot of you know, like flipping to wholesaling to rentals. Some of you new people do not know this, but there's a difference between flipping and wholesaling and rentals as far as tax advantages. So what happens, if you're flipping and you make $50,000, you're paying the tax man. So when you start flipping a lot, those in the know, those people that know, like Mick, for example, is going to say, why are you doing that to yourself? You're giving up all this other money. And when you're flipping, all you're doing is you replace one job with another. I'm like, yeah, $50,000. It took me a year to make that in my other job, working on at a machine not every day. I can do it one, hell yeah, I'll do it. I don't care if I do it. Get the idea? So what happens is flipping, like wholesaling, it's the same as trading. It's like a job, but it's for lifestyle. You can flip, sure. So when you say, I want to deal, absolutely, we'll get to that. But you flip for lifestyle, so you can pay the bills now and get out of that job. And then you use that money to buy rentals and buy notes. Okay? You're going to use that money to buy rentals and buy notes. The reason why rentals work, they build wealth, is leverage. You've got to leverage money, you've got to leverage your property. The cash flow, appreciation, and depreciation. How many are brand new never done a deal before? Never done a deal? Okay. Do you know what depreciation is? All of you? Anyone not know what depreciation is? Good, but I don't need to explain it, right? I'll say it anyway. Basically, it is a tax break that the government gives you for owning a property because the idea behind it is that the house that the land is sitting on the land is devaluing because you have the higher maintenance the older it gets. Okay? So sometimes it's called phantom cash flow. What it is it's extra money that you get. So you can make $10,000 from your rental, put it in your pocket, and the government lets you write it out as if you made zero. So that's why a lot of investors love that, love owning property. It also says why a lot of investors at 27 years after owning a property will sell because they lose one of the major tax breaks. I don't know why some do and some don't, but it just does. Amortization. The other idea about rentals is your tenants are going to make your payments for you, right? So when some of you are saying, hey, I'm here to learn about real estate, it's like, well, you want to learn about rentals? You want to learn about cash flow? Oh, I want a pile of cash. Great. And then you'll hear someone say, yeah, but if you're doing that, don't you understand about this line deal? We want you talking about the cash flow. So you got to find what speaks to you. Do you want who wants piles of cash versus cash flow? Who wants piles of cash? Who wants a pile of cash? Okay. Who wants cash flow? Great. Who wants both? thought that was an easy one to catch, you guys. I mean, but you can do both, okay? And so when I say why real estate versus the stock market, I can go out and touch the house that I own, okay? I can't go touch Bitcoin. I don't understand it. It's great. Those who invest in it, awesome. I don't understand the market that much. So this I understand. We all have to have a place to live, right? Okay. So I just wanted to point that out. And the other thing on real estate, understand, if you went to your banker and said, hey, lend me $100,000 so I can go buy Bitcoin. Just will you lend it to me? No. They won't lend you money to go put in the market, but they will lend on a house. Leverage. So that's why I do. Again, not saying don't invest in the market. I'm just saying I invest in real estate for that reason. So why are you here? How many here to make money? You already know that. How many here because you like to sleep in the morning and you want to get up in the morning? You like to sleep a little later. I literally jumped out of bed at 8 o'clock and got to work about 8:45 those last so many years. I was supposed to be at 8:30. I'm more of a night out. One reason I did this is sleep in. How many just want to control their own life a little bit more? Right? Yeah? All right, that's good. How many people just want, pay medical bills? How many want to put a kid through college? All right? How many people want just a comfortable retirement? Okay. All right? So let me ask you, how would you like to stop getting yelled at with no other options except quit your job? That happen to anybody? And we get yelled at the job by the boss ever? Did it feel good? I would like to say, I'm out of here. I'm not having any repercussions. Like, I'm done. All right? Is this an option? Okay? So, one of the things is how would you like to get paid for 6 weeks a month or 8 weeks a month? Right? 10 weeks. So let me ask you something. If you had a pile of money, what would you do? If you had that $10,000 a month, what would you do? What would you be doing different right now? Would you still go to work? What would you do? What's something someone would want to do? You invest more, great. And you invest in something to get cash flow. Then what would you do? Travel. You travel. Maybe you want to go to Maui. Zurich. Go to Zurich and see the Matterhorn. That's something I want to do. Okay? The reason why I bring it up is a lot of these reasons that can seem silly are the main things that are pulling you back because you don't have a big enough reason to go out there and do it. We can all see, go to college, tell our kids, go to college, go $50,000 in debt, and we're okay with that because they know there's a career on the other side and you're going to get more in your lifetime with college. Absolutely, I get it. That doesn't bother me. But go into business and borrow money to buy a rental or buy something, and all of a sudden your family and friends are saying no, right? They're saying, oh God, don't get it, you lose your money, you lose your shirt, right? So what happens is a lot of times you get a fear of doing something. So what we're going to do is we get past that and try to tell you, we can show you how to do this, but you got to have a reason why. You got to figure out why on Saturday you're going to get up and go do something, or why when you're tired at 7 o'clock at night you're going to go through and drive your neighborhood. Okay? You got to figure that out, what's going on with you. All right? Or maybe it's taking care of your parents. I know for us, I have a sister that I will be actually taking care of because she doesn't have anyone else to take care of her. So I know one day she'll be one of her rentals and we'll be taking care of her. It's just the reality. I told her daughters who just don't have it, I said, don't worry, your mom will never be on the street. She'll never live with me because I'd kill her. I just can't, I get divorced. We just clash, no system. But I'm not going to let her be on the street. Now, 10 years ago, I couldn't have done anything about it. I was just starting. But now, sure. Again, I'm just saying some of the options. Think about what that means to you because that is the drive that got you to do those things. It's the same thing. We can show you, give you everything. You want to do a deal? Buy 20, go get on 20 wholesalers lists right now. Get on 20 of them, start looking around, do that, and check that every day. Believe me, you will find a few of those will be deals. You can buy them. But most of you don't do it. You're either afraid or not sure or don't want the money. So understand that. So when I asked what excites you, who here wanted rentals? Who's interested in rentals? Raise your hand. I think, okay. Who here wholesales and loves wholesaling? Wholesaling got you to walk through the door or off the couch. All right, I'm a wholesaler. It's okay. All right, wholesaling, right? You want the pile of cash, you don't have to own the place, you can buy it, you can get it on contract and sell it to someone else. Who doesn't know what wholesaling is? Everyone know what wholesaling is? Wholesaling is when you take a property and you get it under contract at a significant discount and you sell it off to another investor at a regular discount. And the difference between significant discount and regular discount is your fee. All right? So you might get a property under contract, you agree to sell it, to buy it, and you find it for $400,000, and you have another investor come along and agree to buy it for $430,000. All right? So you actually set it up with escrow, and at the end you substitute the buyer who steps into your place, and they come up and they pay $430,000. You're in a contract for $400,000. That $30,000 goes to you, and you never own the property. Okay? I don't do a lot of them, but I do them all the time. Okay? If I can, and one of the reasons why someone says, well, why would you do that? It's a really good house. I might go down a crew. I might not have someone to fix it up, or I might tap out all my lenders, which happens. You work with family and friends and a couple small investors, you can quickly tap them out when they have no money, and now you have to go to another institutional lender. Okay? So we'll talk about that. How many here are agents? I know there's a couple of you. All right. So we'll talk about that again. How do you go in there and offer money when you're an agent? You just said, I'll list your house for $300, but I'll only give you $200 if I buy it. We'll talk about that. With a straight face. How many heard about day trading houses? You know, they heard about that day trading houses thing. Those of you don't know who that guy was. Hey, we're day trade houses. All right, a lot of people want to do that. Oh, because that's a new buzzword. Or astro flipping. All right, another new buzzword. How many people here because they want to learn about Airbnbs? I know a couple of you. Okay. Yeah, instead a friend of ours put 2 houses under contract for 2 different states last night to do her second and third Airbnb, I think, before. So we're excited for it. How many here mobile homes? You heard about the mobile homes? Maybe took Amy's class. How many did it? A couple people mobile homes. A couple of people here in the same park that we invested. We're doing one of the first deals. The reason why I'm asking, how many people invest in notes? Done notes. A couple of you. All right. And how many people in here just for multi-units, apartment complexes? All right. Many of the principles are the same up to a certain point on apartment complexes, but again, I just want to get an idea on that. Or commercial. I don't do commercial. All right. So that's a whole other world. You don't need that. Hear that. But what we invest in and what we do here is sell that house. We flip and wholesale some to make piles of cash. Okay? 1 to 4 units, single family, mobile homes on land, mobile homes in park. We take that money, what we do, and we buy rentals. And also cash flow. Then we take that cash flow. If we have rentals and we have a pile of cash and we can't buy rentals, I'll invest in mobile homes and the Lonnie deal. I'll tell you where the Lonnie deal is in a minute. And then we take the cash and make it from rentals, cash flow, wholesaling, and we put them back in and buy more rentals. And this is all we're doing, again and again and again, here in Southern California, okay? So, how many knows what a Lonnie deal is? All right. Lonnie deal is named after a guy who tried to do justice, Lonnie Stripes. And what he did was he'd buy a mobile home, he'd fix it up, and he'd sell it on a note with another investor. And he'd sell part of the note, the whole note, usually part of the note. So, the way he would do that is he might buy one for $10,000, put $10,000 into it, and sell it for $50,000. And he'd find an investor, they'd give him $25,000, half that note, that value, and he would take to buy the first half of the note. And he'd take the 25 grand, put in his pocket. He was only into it for 20, he made 5 grand. Plus he could then get a down payment when he would have a buyer. And then what he would do is in 5 years, he sold the first 5 years of payment, he'd collect on the last 5 years of payments. So he had no money in the deal, none, but he already put maybe 10 grand in his pocket and he had 5 years of payments. So his yield was infinite. Okay? All right? So that's something that's why Amy teaches that. I took this class. I highly recommend taking this class. For those of you that are interested in mobile homes and do that. One of the things is, so I explained that. Again, real estate versus personal property. A mobile home on land, who understands that mobile home on land is not the same necessarily as a stick-built house on land, right? Okay. A mobile home sitting on land is nothing, can be nothing more than personal properties. Think of an RV without wheels on the property, all right? It can be moved, right? So real estate, when it boils down to, is immovable, does not move. Personal property is movable. Now, a mobile home on land, you can get a 433, we'll explain a couple things here. 433, which is a document that legally affixes a mobile home onto the land. It actually adds value, but it has to be something from that was built in 1976 or newer, like July or June. And on those, if it was a 433, you can't get a bank loan, 30-year bank loan on those. Okay, they're worth more than just a mobile home on land. All right, and so there's some things with it, but the idea is we buy a lot of mobile homes on land. The reason why, again, we do that is the cash flow is really good. That one that I paid $121,000 and I'm renting at $1,800, it's a mobile home on land. All right, I'll do that and buy it with private money. So I want to explain, because a lot of people will say, well, I don't understand this mobile home thing. What's different if it's in a park? If a mobile home is on land and it's not attached, then it's just personal property. You gotta have a different funding source. If that mobile home's in a park, you're paying space rent to somebody. And that space rent could be $500, $400, $800. Okay? And we'll get more into that. Wanted to kind of explain some of that about mobile home investment. I already said about a starter, a estate builder, and an ender. The reason why I'm putting this here is I just bumped into an ender last week. All right, as I did some things. A starter is like a lot of you. You guys are starting out. A lot of you guys are estate builders. A few of you are estate builders. If you're actively doing deals, actively buying notes, actively buying property, doing line deals, you're an estate builder. You're actively doing that. If you have a couple rentals from years ago, you haven't done it in years, not necessarily. You're kind of starting again, okay? Just talking about that. And an ender, I'll explain this a little later, but I was at an event, a motorcycle event, and I was talking to someone who's a friend of mine whose dad's been flipping for 50 years, and they're kind of getting done. And I'm like, what? You got how many properties? Where are they? Altadena? Pasadena? You're renting these houses for $900 a month, renting $3,000. Your dad never raised rent in 30 years. You have a partner that you're tired of, and you don't know what to do. I know what to do. Have lunch with me. Let's talk. And it's a friend of mine. I'm like, hello, let's go. What do we got to do? So, yeah, there's something there. Send her a message like, we got to have lunch, all right? Let's do that. We have an event next month, a motorcycle event we're doing, and she's like, let's talk after that, and we can do it. And I already gave like 3 ideas that I'm excited about. I have no idea. If I got one of those, it'd be awesome.
Just look at credit.
By the way, I do not buy $1 million houses. I don't. Most of everything we do is under $200,000. I think I've only bought one house over 300. Only one house that I've ever done is over 300,000. I do everything lower than that. Not saying there's anything wrong with it, but I was advised by one of my mentors, Jim Keller, who was going to be here tonight. When I showed him the $1 million house, it was Evan. You know what? You seem to be in a good market. Why do you want to get into this? He goes, I lost it. I lose $100,000 on some of these deals. Why would you ever want? And I said, you know what? You're right. Thank you. Still try to wholesale it to him that he wouldn't go for it. One of the things I was saying about assess yourself. This is something that you don't necessarily know to do, and this is why I brought it up earlier. It's like, do you have money or no money? Do you have time or no time? Some of you go, well, this guy, Sergio's got more of an advantage because he's got $30,000 or $40,000. I've got $2,000 or $500. And you're trying to figure out, well, okay, if I only had a little bit of money, it'd be easier. Yeah, but as soon as he buys 1 or 2 rentals, he's out of money again for a while. So he's not really that much farther ahead of you, okay? And really, And when I say that, I hesitate to say it that way because we're not competing with anyone else except ourselves. But sometimes we do that to ourselves when we're talking to people. When you're like looking around, going, oh, if only I had this, if only I knew what he knew, if only. And it doesn't matter. I have $2,000 in a bank account and so I will pull a deal out. That's not because of me. That's just because I read some books, was around some people that said to do this, and said, ready, fire, aim. You don't have to get it lined up. Go out and make some mistakes. It's okay. You'll have fun and you'll learn a lot. All right? Anyone ever not make a mistake? All right? Just have an out. And if you write a contract, you write anything up, that out is, I want to buy your house for whatever it is, subject to my partner's approval, or subject to my partner's inspection. Some people, and I used to do this too, well, my dog's my partner. Well, that's not the most thing. Your partner might be sitting next to you right now. Call me, I'll be your partner. I got to run it by my partner, Evan. I got to run it by my partner, so-and-so, okay? And then do that, and that'll give you that out if you misjudge the price or something else, okay? And again, some of you go, well, I have to have a perfect contract. If only I had that purchase and sale agreement. One of the mentor mixers recently, someone was saying, would you send that to me? Yeah. We've done deals on napkins. Literally written it out, I will buy your house for X amount of dollars, etc. Close this, took that, scanned it, sent it to escrow, and we opened escrow and bought a house. We did do that. I don't recommend doing that, but if you don't have the paper and they're right there and they live in Vegas, do it. Write it out. And you'll learn of all the questions that aren't answered, still need to be answered. Escrow will let you know. Hey, well, who's paying for this? Who's doing what? How you do? But you know what? Get it on the contract. And it works. I was working on something today, this morning, writing a deal up. I was doing a deal with Jeremy in the back there. And I was trying to figure out, like, I'm regularly not selling the property myself. Usually Richard's writing an agreement to sell it, or we sell it on the market, my wife will do. But I'm usually not selling a property we already own. It's like a wholesale deal, something I don't own. And so I'm like, where's that contract? I haven't sold like this in a while. And Richard goes, well, just get a napkin. And I'm like, well, I don't want the questions coming back. I know, you can do it, but no. So we got the contract done and it worked out. But again, if you have a good job, a good credit, use it. Some people are, I have some good friends of mine that thrive and love the fact that they have a 0 credit score. And they love the fact, I'm not beating up on him, he's very successful, but love that fact he's never gone to a bank for a loan. All right? Use those advantages if you can. We have a friend who's buying Airbnbs, I heard he just did real well on one of their deals. I think $6,000 one month was profitable. And so I said, I'm not an Airbnb person. But again, if someone's going to lend you money at 3%, and you can do it, put some money down, and you can manage that, and maybe you buy a duplex, you buy a house, and you can rent out 3 of the rooms, right? And cash flow, put some money in your pocket. Richard's house hacking right now. Owns a multi-unit, does some stuff, puts money in his pocket. Okay? So understand, again, sometimes someone will come up and talk, oh, I did this deal, you'll see it on the internet. I did this deal, I made $1 million last year. I did this deal, I need whatever. Sometimes it's like, all I want to do is like $2 grand a month, $3 grand a month, right? That's sometimes all you want. So, where are you trying to go and what are you trying to do? And I mean specifically, what are you trying to do? Do you want a rental? Because you want the cash flow. If that's what it is, then note that that's what you want to do. Then, I'm going to go with this, that if someone's talking about some syndication or apartment complex developments over here, and they're speaking on that, or bigger pockets or something, okay, maybe that's taking you away from what you really want to do, okay? If I want to drive to Oregon, and I said, yeah, I'm going through, I'm stopping in Albuquerque on my way to Oregon, you go, what the heck are you doing? But in real estate, people do it all the time, because you don't know, oh, I like mobile homes, I want land, I want to be an investor, I want to do Airbnb, and you spend time doing that. It's the same thing as, should I buy in trust? Should I buy in my name? Should I buy in a corporation? And we'll answer that, what we do. So, one of those things that we talk about is, it's okay, like I said, it's okay to make a mistake, but where are you trying to go? If it is cash flow, then focus on those things. Focus on cash flow. Find someone that you're going to start learning how to identify a property that makes sense on cash flow. We'll deal with that another time. Right now, we're going to about leads. I'm trying to help because I know some of you are like, I don't know where to start. And it's like, that's okay. What are you interested in? Right? Because there's no point talking about mobile homes and wanting people. If your heart's set on multi-units, doing 8 units and 10 units, then there's no point in talking about it. Do you understand? So focus a little bit. Figure out what you want. You guys got to decide that. I want it out of my job. Period. That's what I want. I have a friend who just sold my house in Running Springs and wholesaled it. We were busy some months ago. Loves his job. Doesn't want to quit his job. He loves it. Great. He owns a bunch of rentals. He could quit. He doesn't. He just loves his job. Great. It works for him. He just loves the game like we do. Okay? So when I say, if you're talking about quitting his job, it's like, oh, hell no. I want to leave maybe 5 years early. But again, what are you trying to do? Because if you don't know where you're going, it's really hard to figure out how to get there. Okay? These are the things that some people spend years figuring out. If you can figure out in the next 30 days what you're trying to do, you'll go much farther. Okay? So, again, just think about it. Even if you don't know what they are now, figure it out. For me, I wanted $10,000 a month. When I told Mick that, he goes, well, how much do you need? I said, oh, I want $10,000 a month. He goes, what? He goes, what, you're a big spender? You don't need that much. He goes, what are your bills? I didn't know exactly. I had an idea. So my wife, whatever. Figured it out. Went back, told him. He's like, okay. And then we worked on some things. Okay? Because it doesn't take what you think they can get free or get out of your job. All right? So, again, just sharing with you, trying to get some of the things that were mental blocks for me, or how someone else came along and helped me and have this talk. And some people never get this talk. Again, but where are you trying to go and what are you trying to do? Okay? All right. One of the things else as I want to ask you about is, we'll talk about it, is what I'm getting up to is mindset. All right? You hang around negative people, you can't do this. How dare you do that? Don't you understand? How terrible. Who do you think you are for being able to, you're going to do that? You think you're what? You think you're better than us? Anyone ever heard anything like that? You can't do that. That's illegal. Wholesaling is illegal. You can't do that. Now, it is in 2 states now, but not California. You're fine, California. But the bottom line is the whole idea behind mindset is there is a lot of negativity out there. Just look at the last election. Okay? There's a lot of negativity. The thing is negativity kind of just, we're wired a certain way. It just kind of goes. And it's real easy to go down that path. If they're like weeds. Weeds do not need sunlight, that much sunlight. They don't need that much water. They'll grow through cracks of sidewalk, they'll grow on crappy ground. They don't even have to be fertilized. But if you want like a rose or an orchid or anything else, you got to water that. You got to fertilize that. These are things you got to do, right? There's a very specific process to get that. All right. Well, negative thoughts kind of do that same thing there they're like weeds in that sense. So who are you surrounding yourself with? Right? Be around like-minded people who want to go the same place you want to go, because we really a rising tide lifts all ships. So that goes back to that. Mindset is everything. You really want to develop a winning mindset. It's the view that you adopt for yourself that determines the way you live your life, see the world, and make decisions. You need to be your biggest cheerleader. Don't beat yourself up. How many people have been known to beat you? How many of you sometimes have a voice in your head, don't eat that, don't eat that, you should go back to the gym, you should get on that, you should make that phone call, you shouldn't start that movie, stop it, don't watch that movie, don't start, make the phone call, oh, movie one. That Barker Lounge is just perfect. It feels so good. I know, I've been there, I know, all right? This is what happens. So, but basically, the reason why this is so important is it's easy to find a negative person. It's your brother, it's your sister, it could be your wife, it could be the neighbor, or it could be the woman, your negative Nelly, which is up past the printing machines, through the graphic department, up past the large plotters, past my wife's desk, turn right into the lair of the negative Nelly. I have one. Oh my God, Evan, why are you doing that? Don't do that. Market, we got massive pay cuts at our job. I was an escrow to buy a house. And she's like, oh, you're going to cancel escrow, right? You're going to cancel escrow. How can you do this? She remembers this. My wife remembers this. having these arguments with you. No, the company will take care of you. They will. Just work those extra hours, work those 60 hours a week, work that 36-hour shift straight so the company can do it. They'll take care of you. Right? Well, we left in 2015. 6 months ago, that company went bust after 39 and a half years. It's my friend's company. And in that 39 and a half years, he bought the building and he just released it. So he's a millionaire. He's fine. But those 40 people that we were working with, all gone. 5 of them, including my negative Nelly, who loved us, by the way. And I do love. I worked with her for 25 years. She did have my best interest, and she was completely, did not have the education of what we're trying to do. She thought safety. Well, at 62 or 63 years of age, she's now working at a competitor down the street because 5 people were able to transfer to this competitor. If we had listened, I'd be having a new job right now. Don't do that. I'm just sharing with you that I use that negative now and that just fueled what I was doing. Okay? Just fueled that. So, again, association. I listen to podcasts, yeah, but I listen to it for the motivation with the real estate, but really a lot of it's the motivation. Same thing with YouTubes. I'll do a lot of 60-second shorts, like with Les Brown, Zig Ziglar, Tony Robbins, Joseph McClendon, Steve Harvey. The reason why I'll do that is I'll do it in the morning, especially a positive jolt. I was a guy who listened to talk radio most of my whole life. I stopped several years ago. I just couldn't. I wanted to focus on what we do and change our lives. And I want to help other people change theirs. All right? And one thing for us is actually the club that did that. My son would come in to work with us, working with my wife. And a lot of people, well, it's easy. Your wife's an agent. My wife didn't become an agent until 4 years after we were investing. We thought if we could do a couple deals and she could buy and sell for us, we'd make an extra 20 grand a year. Okay? That was the idea. So it just later worked out and gave us some options, but that was not how we got into real estate. She got into real estate because we were investors, not the other way around. But it really didn't matter. Seminars, training, again, we went there and we went to some seminars and there's motivation, yeah, context expansion, yeah. And I share this, that these were highlights of my life, 2009, 10, 13, 17, and 2019 again. And what's going on is in 2017, Aaron Israelo said some things that really just changed my life. 2019, sitting down with Nick and just beating me up. And so when COVID hit, I know I said this earlier, when COVID hit, we bought enough rentals. I told my wife we can stop flipping and we're fine. We'll get through this. It turned out to be the best financial year we ever had. And that really agonized us because a lot of our friends were hurting unlike anything you've ever seen. And I'm like, it was tough. It was tough. And I share that because you never know what someone's going to say. And again, it was because we're associating with other people, not associating with a bunch of the other people that are sitting around negative. I just did a motorcycle trip with 4 friends. 3 of us were in real estate. 3 of us don't have day jobs. 1 did. All right? And so the reason why I'm talking about that, again, goes back to association. If you remember that. If someone's not adding value to your life, you need to cut them off a little bit, stay away a little bit to understand. And if they're saying, Sergio, you can't do that, say, you know what? He knows that. I'm going to go over here. All right? These are the things. Don't let them win. Because they're there. All right? Doing deals, doing action, creating action, just doing things will help your motivation, will help your mindset. Even if you don't have the results yet. When you get the results, definitely when you get the results, it fuels your mindset. But I want to say something else. A lot of you have come to me and said, man, I'm listening to Bigger Pockets, I'm listening here, I'm going here. Not Bigger Pockets. But I'm listening to this, I'm listening to this, I'm going over here. You're going to so many sources, you don't have time to do deals. I was doing that for some time. I had to finally go, what am I trying to do? Where am I trying to go? And limit a little bit of where I was coming from. And we then focused on the club. We then said, I'm going to turn this guy off, and now we're not going to do this. And we focused more, got a mentor within the club, for example, and started looking up at some other people, and really started listening and started challenging yourself. Hence why someone made me cry twice, and I still went back. All right, some of you know him in the room, he's a great guy. So we limit sources sometimes because we get caught in analysis paralysis. Anyone ever heard that term? Yeah. Right? I don't know. How many people have been caught in analysis paralysis? I don't know what to do. I don't know, should I do this? I just spent a week agonizing over a deal my friend Jeremy here has, going back and forth about doing this deal and etc. And we went, and finally it was like, where I'm at in my life, and because of cruise, I can't do that, but we're doing some others. So I get it, but don't let it, if you're stuck, give me a call. My number is 909-556-5955. Give me a great seminars. We're going to one in Vegas with Pete Fortunato, John Shaw, some great leaders in the industry. And a lot of these things are going on. And one of the things that we've been asked, a friend goes, why aren't you going to this one? It's like, man, we're still implementing what we learned from the last one, right? So it can get to be an issue. So sometimes you're just got to pick and choose what you can do. I'm just going to give you some of my favorite books real fast, and then we're going to get into what's going on. Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Retire Young, Retire Rich, 2 books, both by Kiyosaki. This Retire Young, Retire Rich book, I freaking love. I've read it many times over. This book is one book that changed my life, even though it's really context expanding. It's his 5th book. The idea behind it is about leverage. His first 4 books, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, is about cash flow. A lot of people that Kiyosaki doesn't do anything for them, great. It does something for me. We're talking about the things that have helped us. And there's things that, here's a picture of him and his wife on Fiji. Book speaks. I've had this book for 16 years. I was going through and rereading it, almost pretty much done again, found some notes my wife wrote of things she didn't want. She didn't want the overtime, wanted time with family and all this stuff. All those things, by the way, we got rid of the job. They do come through. Just saying, this is one of our favorite books. Okay? A couple other books. By the way, these books you can get at the club, IERERC, go to the website. And in the store, you can order the books there if you want. That's what I recommend, support the club. Copy Your Way to Success by Corey Peterson. We met him a few years ago, Rich and I. That's this one. Basically says, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You cannot have, maybe you have dyslexia, you don't have to spell, whatever, barely talking. I spent 9 years in a speech class, okay, once a week. All right? It doesn't matter, okay? What matters is where you want to go, okay? Where you're at now, where you want to go. And what he says is just saying, by the way, this guy, when he talks, if you look him up, he does a lot of syndication, wants your money, do bigger deals. It's great, but if you want single family houses, his strategy is a little different now, but the idea behind it of just finding someone who's doing what you do, that has what you like, and go do what they do. And pick and choose what works for you, okay? Pretty simple. Power of Passion, a guy named Jamie Clark climbed Everest, took 3 tries to climb Mount Everest. He was the first Canadian team to do it in the 90s. This kind of goes into about about overcoming obstacles, okay? And that's something that's I find very valuable for me. So, and It's Your Move by Josh Altman. Basically, anyone $1 million listing, anyone seen the show? $1 million listing? Basically says, it's your move. He says, pay attention wherever you're at. If you're in the Starbucks line, stand there. Where you're at, look around. He's standing, there's an LA Laker next to him. He's like, hey, I start talking to him and sells my house. He was in a gym working out, followed one of the guys into the shower room, and then eventually did a deal and sold or bought a house for the guy. I mean, I'm not saying follow someone into a shower, okay? But he is always closing. All right? It's your move on. Breaking into the REO business. A local guy, investor, Tony Alvarez. Even though REOs aren't the thing, it was one of my favorite books. You know Tony, don't you? Yeah, a couple of you know Tony. Yeah, I think he lives in Oregon now, does stuff all over the place. But even though REOs aren't the major thing, right now they're not, it's all the other things that Howard does deals in the books, very, very informative, really helps. Storms of Perfection, Creating Wealth One House at a Time, Invest in Debt, Deals on Wheels, Who Moved My Cheese. If you want to ask later, I'll tell you. Most of them are not how to buy real estate. One house at a time really is, but most of them are how to do this, say this, do this. They're not step one, step two. They're more context expanding. They're more of the idea behind it, what it can do. So understand that. Deals on Wheels invest in debt is how to use good debt, to buy assets. It is a little bit more detailed. But most of them are not. All right? I see most of this is you're like, man, when is he going to get this up and what we're doing? I'm so on mindset. Here's the thing. Because of some of the things you talked about, and I'm going to talk about the club for a minute, I find that this club is really the ultimate mastermind. All right? I've been at events. I've been with like some of the guys out there. Someone mentioned Ben and Sean, and they charge $100,000 a year for like the ultimate mastermind. Masterminds are great, but a mastermind, and just going on, Napoleon Hill says it's a coordination of knowledge and effort and a spirit of harmony between two or more people for the attainment of a definitive purpose. All right? So anytime you're working on something with multiple people and trying to do real estate place or mastermind, we're doing it now. Once I realized this club, for me, as you put into it, if you get out of it, as a mastermind, you can write one check. You really can. There's so many different things, so many different flavors in the club. And he teaches on mobile home investing. I've been a real estate flipper guy. I took his class when I stumbled upon mobile home, took his class, did the same. It was great. Did everything wrong, made $15,000 in 60 days. Did everything wrong. Really good. And I was like, all right, I took the class 3 times. Since then, yeah, we've done like 30 of them, 25 of them. We've made, I don't know, it's 6 figures we've made. All right? It's not us, it's Andy. There's a lot of guys take this class within 30 to 60 days, they'll go out and make $20,000. Okay? That's for mobile home investing. I had no idea I was interested in mobile home investing. Now I am. Guess what? I am. It pays enough. It's good. I like it. So, but one of the things is I had no idea about that. It wasn't until, like I said, really find out what this mentor does, what this person does, what this person, what are you doing over there? You're doing door knocking, how's that working for you? Oh, you're an Airbnb, and start dealing that and really utilizing the association and where everyone's trying to go and what to do, really step up our game. We were in, Richard and I were, a couple years ago, Dean Graziosi, anyone know Dean Graziosi? Right? Yeah, everyone know of him. Him and Cody, Rich and I had breakfast with him and about 10 other guys, 15 other guys, wanting us to spend $50,000 to $100,000 a year in the mastermind. You could do it. Hey, you know what? Works for you? Absolutely. You don't need to. Okay? So that's why everything I've said tonight, in the right place at the right time. All right? So now, kind of what some people are waiting for. I already said that. How we get deals, investors, and leads. Everyone heard that. So, this is what we've done. We drive for dollars. We use something called Deal Machine. Deal Machine is an app that works for us. It's been a game changer for us as well. I couldn't tell you all the details about it, but you actually can drive by. It's on your phone, see a house, take a picture of the house. Doesn't have to be a perfect photo. Just take a picture of the house. You actually go hit the address, click on add a picture, take a picture, add as a lead, goes off into the system, a queue if you will, and then we release after so many are there, and it automatically, or you can send it so it just sends out the postcard. Instead of you driving by, oh, I should contact the guy whoever owns that house that's all boarded up. That you drive by every day, I should call him. You drive by for 6 months. One day you see a guy out there fixing a house. I'm like, damn, I should have called him. All right? Or if you take the time to, it really helps you from procrastinating on the deal. You go by, you see a picture, send a postcard to him. We have phenomenal success with Deal Machine. They actually provided it through tonight, I guess, on it. So there's a link you can get. Richard will probably explain, tell you exactly where that you can get to get a few discount. It also helps a lot. But what happens is that has been a game changer for us compared to the old school way, which we'll talk about. Because what happens is you take a picture, you send it, and you can have a 5 or 6 week or 2 month marketing campaign. And it'll send a postcard, maybe every 2 weeks is what you do. Hey, well, this is your house. They see the cars on blocks. They see the paint peeling. They see because a lot of people don't know what the rentals look like in that state, right? So now to see the conditions, is this your house? You know, what's going on? Like specifically here, it's like just, I want to buy your property. And they look, Jesus, who did what with my lawn? They broke my fence. Hey, when did you take this picture? And you will get a call. You might have it to where you might be sending 6 different ones, maybe every 2 weeks for 6 weeks, and then once a month, because you want to send 5 or 6 postcards. It's not just one. If you just send one letter to 5,000 people versus 5 letters to 1,000 people, you have a better success with 1,000 people sending 5 times. You want to constantly get in front of people's faces with marketing. And we found that has been a game changer for us. We walk neighborhoods. Not so much me lately, but we walk neighborhoods. Richards walk neighborhoods. Sometimes walking your dog, bicycling. Hey, that looks like a house. Click, do it. We've done deal after we just did 3 deals on one street. All right. Now one of those was a lead from a wholesaler, and then one was picture, contact, email, phone calls. These are the things we're doing now. Okay, not necessarily 10 years ago, but now. Walking neighborhood. Bird dog, professionals and local people. There are some of you that might be a bird dog for somebody. You might say, hey Daniel, I saw this house over here and I toured it up, and here's the address, I heard they want to sell, and that's it. And I'm telling you that, and you go ahead and contact them and buy it. And you buy it, $900,000. All right? Now I utilize people that I kind of call local people. They could be homeless. They could be close to homeless. I have one gal in San Bernardino, real proud of her actually. She got her life, she's clean. She's been clean for like 8 months now, a year now. Has a job right now. I think she sent us 5 houses over the last several years. All right, and this month she's going to get another nice little check. I think this month we're paying out $5,000 because as they do more, we give them more because I want her to just keep calling when she gets it. Maybe we'll get 1 a year from her. And then nothing for 2 years, and then we get 2, okay? And other people literally are professionals. They're someone that we might pay as a bird dogger to go out and drive neighborhoods and look for us, okay? And so, matter of fact, I have people on Deal Machine that drive for us, and whenever they take a picture, we pay all the expenses. They take a picture, and then we buy the house, they get $1,500, okay? And so that's something you can do with Deal Machine. You can put people on your team, your friend, your brother, whatever, someone, your son, your child, whatever, that drives or walks the neighborhood, and put them on your account. All right? And that's what's something really cool about Deal Machine. And again, versus us buying a list and then running absentee owner, high equity, which I'll get into in a minute. Instead of buying a list of all the people that are landlords in an area, we find a Deal Machine is just a lot more effective for like 1/5 of the cost. All right, I'll kind of do that more. Referrals, sellers, renters, friends, family. Yeah, referrals. I'm telling you, write it down. It's called a sphere of influence. If you're an agent, you've heard this before. If you're a new investor, write down everybody you know and call them. Email them. Facebook message them. Say, hi, I'm Evan. Sorry, say, hi, it's Evan. Hey, I know it's been a while, but I want to tell you I'm a real estate investor now. I'm working with a great group of people out of Riverside, California. And I just wanted to offer that if you ever have a real estate question, a real estate problem, a lender, I'm not an agent, but if you ever have a real estate question, you don't know who to call, please give me a call, and I'll get you the answer. I'll try to solve your problem. Or I'd love to talk to you about selling and buying your house. There's a number of ways you can do that. Just by calling, let them know. All right? Just by doing that so they know. One of the guys in the group didn't do this. He did it with some other friends, and then he's out looking for property, and a relative sells 3 houses of exactly what he's looking for in Long Beach, in the neighborhood he wants, and he forgot to update them. And they just sold it out. And he's like, Jesus, I just missed out. Actually, they were multi-units. So we want to do that. We actually treated a seller right, bought a house from them. They told their friend, who called me, says, my sister has a problem with the house. I go out there and talk to them, and I'm like, why do you want to, look at this house, beautiful house? you want to sell it, and I'm talking to them about buying the house. And they're in forbearance. Anyone heard about forbearance? Right? Forbearance is when the government's saying you don't have to make a payment and it will not hurt your credit. 10 years ago, 2 years ago, there was no such thing as a forbearance. All right? So what happens is, this is something new for us, first time we deal with it, and I actually pointed them to list with my wife. But we got that, and that's going live in a few days. And we got that because we treated someone right and bought their house over here. If they told their friends to call them and buy their house and solve their problem. And I did give them a cash offer. I gave them an offer, and I also gave them an offer using my wife. Her listing the house, and I'll explain how we do that. One of the other things, meet 5 people daily. Use wholesalers, park managers. Never be silent in a line. If you're in a line at the movie theater, wait and see, or a game store or whatever, don't be silent. Say hi. Seriously, you'll get leads. We've done it. You can be sitting talking in a restaurant. I've sat in a restaurant talking to someone and about real estate or about the deal, etc. I've had people come up and say, I have a house, would you please call me? I've had others come up and just say, I'm thinking, I don't know what to do, could you call me? Maybe set up shop, a lot of realtors do this, set up shop in Starbucks. Put a book out, put some other stuff, let me know your real estate. Even at Starbucks, I've done it at Chipotle. I've met 2 major wholesalers at Chipotle. And another guy nearly did a deal. And I'm working on a lender of someone I met at Chipotle. And I found an employee, I hired someone from Chipotle. I hang out at Chipotle a lot. But every day. I do. The bottom line is that you have to be your #1 supporter, your #1 cheerleader. Notice the shirt I'm wearing. How many of you like to run around and wear the Dodgers shirt or the Lakers shirt, right? I promote my company. Why don't you want to promote your own company? Right? I actually wore a shirt for Griffith Spring and it said property of Griffith Spring. For years I didn't think anything of it because I worked for a printing company. They gave you free shirts. I promoted his business. Why don't you promote yours? Let people know what you're doing. Don't be silent. So these are the things you do. Ride motorcycles. What we kind of say, live your life. If you're in a 4x4 and you play golf, let your friends know what you do. I let people know what I do. I found my largest lender riding a motorcycle. I was in Big Bear, California, covered in dirt, eating half asleep, eating lunch. And this guy starts peppering me with questions. That's riding with me. I'm leading the ride. He starts asking me. I quickly realize I'm being interviewed. He's asking me tough questions. He's not asking me just easy stuff. Realize his money however much money was sitting in the stock market a few years ago. It was heating up and he got scared, wanted to take some of it out, and has been lending with me ever since. He's lent me a lot of money, and we've done a lot of deals. He's my #1 investor in that and I found him because I ride motorcycles. So again, if you like 4x4, you're touring, like golf, you're cross-country riding, whatever it is you love to do, let your friends know what you do. And you don't have to say, hey, sure, dude, do you have some money? All it can be is something to say, hey, Steve, yeah, business has been great. I paid my investors last year $150,000. I'm tapping some of them out, but man, it's just, yeah. So when I work with an investor, I find an investor, I love working with him, giving them money, because it allows me to make more money. All I said to him is that I like to work with investors. Now, if he's thinking he's got 50 grand or 100 grand or 300 grand, I don't have to ask him. He's going to come, hey, Evan, wait. What was that? You pay how much? Yeah, we pay 9% and we pay 10%. You just say what you're doing enough, and you'll get enough people to ask. What? Okay? Understand that. These are just things. You don't have to say, will you lend me money? And you go, no. Oh. You can just put it out there that way. And there's a lot of rules about borrowing money. So when it comes down to it, if you have a relationship already, you're safe. You can say, hey, Steve, I'd like to talk to you about something. That's different. That's allowed versus strangers. Anyway, a bunch of different things you can do. But again, you've got to be your biggest marketer. We really are in marketing in the vehicles real estate because you're constantly trying to find the deals. All right, we get tons of deals from driving for dollars, walking the neighborhood. Yeah, networking. But I tell you what, when I got here about 15 minutes early, my wife and I, we went around the corner and we were driving for dollars. I was adding houses. We did 4 of them. One of the people on our team already drove in this neighborhood. But we were back here, we added like 4. I'm like, oh, someone out of that house, someone out of that house, and that's what we did. So If you're extremely busy and you're like, how do I do a deal? How do I find the time? I don't want to go out for Saturday and drive for 8 hours. Every time you have an appointment somewhere, every time you're going to go see your brother or your sister, go to that area 30 minutes early, drive around and add to your list to mail to. It's been one of the easiest things to do is just take some pictures. You have to do some back-end stuff with your photo, maybe there's a picture of me going, when I'm counting by your house, right? And then there's one insert cash, they have options. And so the idea is, once that's set up, you can actually just take a picture and it'll go. And the entire campaign will go, and you can kind of forget about it. I say kind of, not exactly. But it just happens every 2 weeks, every 3 weeks, and you can go, all right, and just kind of watch it as it happens, okay? It doesn't take a lot of time to do that. Even if you're a professional, you work lots of hours, I don't have a lot of time, how am I going to do this? Those are some things you can do by spending a few extra minutes early to do that. Or after you're at someone's house, just spend a few extra minutes then. But if you don't have a job, or you are off on a weekend, and you have the time, you have 8 hours, or whatever, 4 hours, you want to go out on Saturday and drive for 4 hours straight, go drive for 4 hours straight. If you want to do that. If you don't want to do it in 4 hours, go out and for a few minutes before wherever else you're going, as you live your life. It's a lot easier to do that than to go on and go out for Saturday for 8 hours. I don't go out Saturday for 8 hours and drive to get to store. Other days I'm doing other things. But I'll go out for a few minutes here, a few minutes there. The one in Lake Elsinore I just got, I added that driving for dollars. I was doing some other stuff a while ago, going by, and I was taking pictures in the neighborhood. And the guy called me. And he was selling, he called a bunch of people. I'm walking the property with him. I made an offer. Okay? And so I wouldn't have that if I didn't drive for dollars, if I didn't drive for his neighborhood. That's why we're huge believers on that. So if you go, I don't know where to go, drive up to the most distressed house of the neighborhood. There was a house around the corner that has a tarp on it. Okay? Cars on the block, up on blocks. Just looks like it needs some love. It might not even be that bad, but it might even just be something compared to the other houses. And take that. All right, now, to give you an idea, 2015, 2014, I did what they call a high equity list. Yes, you can do this. You basically buy a list from I bought it from listability.com, where I bought it. You can go to Prop Radar, for example, if you want to. And I bought a high equity list, someone who's above 70 years old, 70, owned the property for at least 5 years, right? Non-owner occupied, residential 1 through 4. 1 through 4 units. This is a list I did. I actually hand wrote first because I have writing that's so bad, as you can see. I put it in a Word document because I had no idea how to put it in Excel. And then someone did this, actually Tyler gave me all the houses that I had done. They actually sent it to me. And out of that, I sent 123 houses times 5 weeks. Heard from 4 people, did 1 deal, made 13 grand. Plus, I got a foot in the door on a property in Forest that I thought would make 30 grand. I didn't buy that property in Forest. It was a rental for years, and we sold it, and we made some pretty good money. And then I also did 1 more deal a year later on it. It was in Barstow. I wholesaled someone another deal. So we made like $30,000, ultimately 40, on that list that I did, and I still didn't know what I was doing. Okay, and it's I just went to a list source, on a certain list, but we found that we were later spending a lot of money and not getting results as things were changing, a lot more competition. So we started identifying the houses we wanted to market to, driving for dollars. Okay, so get to know your neighborhood. Now, is that going to be close to your house or far away? That's a decision we can talk about. We've actually called cash buyers in an area. Richard was calling people that paid cash for houses in an area that we invested in. He found someone paid cash, and they said, well, I'm not an investor. He was looking for buyers. Someone asked me, how do you find buyers? Look for people who pay cash, or look for someone who keeps buying in a neighborhood. Contact them. Hey, what are you buying criteria? There's a buyer. How are you buying? Why are you buying? Well, in this case, he found someone named Joan who says, well, I bought this to live in, but I've got this house in Irvine, mobile home in Irvine, and I don't know what to do. We actually did this deal because he was looking for a buyer in Crestline. We found a deal in Irvine, California, a mobile home on land that we bought for like $275 and sold for 400 and some odd thousand. And I think we made like $75,000 on that deal. It was like, at the time, it was our most profitable deal because he was looking for a buyer and we found a seller. And we became friends with her, actually. She was a really nice gal, moved to Georgia. So understand that. Zillow, I just got a deal off Zillow. I'm an escrow to buy a home, a rental out in the desert. Saw it on Zillow. I contacted her. I said, hey, Ange, do me a favor, find out who's the listing agent, because I couldn't tell. Turned out to be a friend of ours who's listed our other houses, knows what I'm doing. And I called her and said, why didn't you just call me when you got this listing? She goes, oh, I forgot. Oops. And I went, all right, so even I have to stay on top of the people that know what I do. So understand that. So, but we're doing this deal, and then she calls me later and says, hey, I got this other deal, you're still flipping, right? It's like, yes, what did we just talk about? A week ago, I just went to escrow here. This is house in Pinion Hills, by the way, that we're trying to deal with. The seller, husband leaves her, and leaves her a $400,000, $500,000 house. And she is so distraught, she actually ended up in the hospital with mental health issues. It's terrible. We walked the property. As we're leaving town to go to Flagstaff for an event, for a personal thing, my wife, we walked this property, and we're walking with the agent to make an offer. And then she went silent on us and went over to the house, and it's like, where is she? Found out she went to a motel, and then now she's in the hospital right now, and we're trying to figure out the best way. Our friend did not get the listing yet. And I'm like, just trying to help this gal out. So she has a house that needs $100,000 worth of work. It is a project. Crap everywhere, but it's like a couple acres with a view of the desert. I'm like, let them buy a house. Just go start your life somewhere. Right? And solve her problem. But crazy. So again, when we're talking about these leads, we're helping, what we're doing is we are really dealing with people's lives. So understand what we're doing here, okay? Business cards, card magnets, there's all sorts of things. But basically, yes, it's networking. That's just not the way it is. Just be yourself. The constant, get out there. I'm a huge believer in drive for dollars. Get off your ass and go drive for dollars. All right, it's just going to get great. Some of you, well, that's kind of far. I mean, it's an hour away. So understand, we get someone that, once we've done a lot of that, those are things we've done for leads. The bottom line is we get them, when someone calls us, it doesn't matter really what we're saying, you got to build trust. The whole idea behind these seller interview sheets that I used to use, when I used to have to fill it all out, this is it, this is the key. If I could only ask them the right questions, what would happen? The reality is, it didn't matter what went on here. What mattered is I had to build trust and rapport with them. Oh, really? I'm sorry you lost your husband. Oh, geez, I must be terrible. And just listen as you're talking about how you can help them. You'll find out. And in person, saying build trust. And again, do what you say to build trust. Okay, right now the leads I keep an eye out for, keep an eye out for landlords in trouble. I mean, more than ever, there are landlords out there that have not been able to evict in a year and a half, and they're drowning. All their tenants paid. Some were a little late, they'll pay. But there's a lot of guys, especially multifamily, that might have 7 or 8 units, and 5 of the tenants aren't paying, and they're going down in flames. I haven't figured out how to find all of them directly in the others, but they're out there, and they're just out $30,000, $40,000, $50,000. A friend of ours has owed $18,000, and he has not been able to evict. He's now trying to evict. And he just bought it, but still, in the last year. So understand that those are people in trouble. And forbearance. Here's forbearance. Understand it just was on hold, and they're still running up debt, and it's going to be an issue. So understand. Identify their pain, their problem, and solve it. How I make an offer, real quick. This is something I do. I give multiple offers. Let me do this quick. I give them 3 reasons, and I'll say, hey, you know what, you have a wonderful house here. You know what, I don't really, if I don't understand what's going on with the pain, they just really want to sell it or whatever, I'll say, I tell you what, my wife, I see you have a tenant that's not paying. My wife would love to offer, I would go ahead and say, my wife's an agent, and I'd love for you to talk to her, because she probably can get you more than I'm going to offer. What I'd like to do is we can offer you what I'm going to do is I'm going to offer you $160,000 because you know, Mr. Seller, your house, I think when I'm done, it's going to be worth $300,000. I'm going to buy it for $160,000, but here's how it's going to go. For $300,000 is where I'm going to go when I'm going to sell it. Sorry. And what's going to happen is when I sell it, I got to pay an agent 6 or 7%. Well, that's $21,000. I'm only going to make like without an easement $280,000. I got to put $40,000 into your. I have to put $40,000 into your house, right? And so what happens is I'll tell them, you know what? When I'm done with it, I'm going to sell your house for $300,000, as I just said. It's going to cost me $20,000 in closing costs. I got to go ahead and put $40,000 to rehab your house. And if I put $40,000, just so you know, to rehab, I'll tell them, well, I need to make $40,000. I still need to make a living. A lot of people go, yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. And so if you see, so that's why my offer is going to be around $200,000, right? And if you want to wholesale it, you got to add your fee off that. So maybe if you want $10,000, you subtract another 10. So Mr. Seller, I can offer you $200,000 for your house. Okay, I can offer you $200,000 because I got to do all this stuff. What do you do? However, so my offer will be around there. If you take the time to talk to my wife, though I think in its present condition, she might be able to sell it for $260,000, $270,000 because, you know, the market's really hot. I'm not sure you have full market countertops, but if you do that and then you pay the closing cost of $20,000, you're going to probably walk away for like $240,000, $250,000. You might want to talk to her. So I initially will say, look, you can make $40,000 or $50,000 more by talking to her, and you might sell it in 30, 60, 90 days. But she has her own opinion. She has her own business, right? I don't speak for her. I'm not an agent, but I think you could probably do that. But I've gotten to take an offer for $200,000, and I close in 2 weeks or 30 days. You know how many people will still take our offer? They'll get a nut sheet. She'll see what happens. Right now, this month, we're doing 2 deals that she's actually going to list. We did this. And I just did this, and I'm actually got another house under contract. They said no to this $50,000 or $60,000 selling with an agent, and they took my lower offer. They gave up $50,000, $60,000 for the convenience, and that happens all the time. And then you know what? They really, really like it because they see. That's how I write sideways. What they see is that I'm really looking out for them. You know, it's like, Steve, I'd love to help you. We can make, you know, you're going to earn about $50,000 more with my wife. It's a few months down the road. We got to talk to her. And here's my offer for $200,000. If you go, man, I really need that $240,000, you say, tell you what, how about I give you $20,000 down, and I'll make payments of $1,000 till paid. Okay, and you be the bank. And I'll go into the reasons why that's really good. And so we'll list with my wife as an agent. I'll give them my all cash offer. I'll go through the numbers, and I'm doing that over here, and I have pre-written. And I'll explain why this is a better deal. And you know what? I said, okay, if you're an agent and you're trying to figure that out, you can say, look, I'm here to list your house, I want to talk to you about it, but I work with a lot of iBuyers. Or you can say, you are also an iBuyer. So yes, I'd like to list your house for this, but if I buy it, you have to make some profit, I'm going to make some repairs, I'm going to do this. And so I'd love to talk to you about me actually investing in buying a house. And in this case, if you're talking about it, it can be as simple as if you are uncomfortable with giving the offer of, again, here's a house, say it's for $300,000, and you are trying to buy it for $200,000, and you're saying I'm an agent. So what happens is you can do one of 2 ways. I have sometimes agents will bring me in as the iBuyer. They don't want any conflict. They'll say I'm an agent, and yeah, I'll just ask for $200,000. But I'll tell you what, I know a guy that love to bring in. He can come and make an all cash offer, just so you know what it's like. I've had my wife's boss, former boss, bring me in on a deal where someone had to sell quickly because the lawn went into a house, went into a home. And so what happened is I gave him my offer, and he gave them what he would list it for, and they ended up going with his solution. But the point is by bringing me in, they were less likely to go to Zillow, Open Door, etc. I've done this several times where I've been in the house with another agent, and Sunday was outside trying to make an offer, and I pointed right back to the agent. Okay, so a lot of times when you're doing this, if you know an agent or if you are an agent, hook up with an iBuyer, or if you are actively buying yourself, again, we can hash this out a little bit more. I only have another minute left, so I'm kind of rushing now. That's what happened. Anyway, but these are the things. The bottom line is build trust and always be real. Say what you can do and say what you can't do. Most of the things I talked about are the things that we already are doing. And so I'll say this. If we started over today, I would just start with real estate and I would do mobile homes, investing like a lot of these. Started today. If I was buying today, starting over, I would buy in my personal, I would qualify or offer in my personal name, and I would close and hold in a trust. So I have around and buy a house that's such. Okay, I do everything in corporate, but right now, if we're starting over, I would buy it and hold it in a personal trust. Richard went qualified for a loan, got the bank loan, did everything else, and right before closing, he said, I want to put it in my trust. And he had to fight him a little bit, but they did it. So if you're like, how do I do this? Should I need a corporation? Not now, no. You don't need to. I'm not a lawyer, etc. But I do have corporations. That's how I buy it. If I was starting over, if I was redoing it, that's what I would do. And then where would I buy in California. I don't care. If I could drive an hour for my boss on the way to work, I can drive an hour for myself. All right? Again, if you're willing to do it for a boss, why not be willing to do it for yourself? Okay? Understand those things. And that's why California or out of state, there's plenty of deals here in California. Last, just want to say, I went over a bunch of stuff, and I really saw most of this mindset. The deals we're doing, I can give you, like I said, the action list at the bottom line. I'll leave it up. If you do some networking, take action, sphere of influence, meet 5 people a day, look at this before you go. Richard's going to have something to speak about real quick, because we're going to do a couple announcements. But understand this, the brilliant thing about life, all right, it doesn't matter where you're at. It doesn't matter where you were at yesterday. It doesn't matter. Because tomorrow, it's all about your next move. It's all about what you do next. Okay? If you go ahead and figure that out and create, take action, it doesn't matter what happened yesterday, what you didn't do, you spent 3 years doing. It doesn't matter. All right? And so ultimately, when it comes down to it, it is your move, quoting Josh Hall. All right? It's up to you what you do. You can't do it for you. I can only say it's worth it. You want to learn and make a lot of money, change your life. I'm going to say just, because you heard, I'm a big supporter of the club. And again, I just want to say thank you. For your questions, I'll be around. And then I think Rich has a couple of things he wants to talk about. And thank you for your time. What do you guys think? Before I go into the announcements, we got like 3 minutes for a couple quick questions. So, anybody have something? Yeah, I know we told you right now questions. We ran a little bit over. So, Keith, what do you got?
I just want to make a statement. It came out on the news today. Zillow will not be buying any more homes this year. They're buying to fix and flip. They have about 4,000 homes. They don't know what to do with it. You can't get the people to fix them. Can't flip them. 4,000 homes in the United States.
So we got one less competitor, and now you guys got 40 new ones.
If you're going to partner with somebody, meaning you're going to use their money, are you still able to qualify for a loan from a lender in your name? And I'm not sure how that would work structurally. Like, is the loan in your name or in their name or both their names?
The way I've done partners, when I created partnerships, I created partnerships. General partner and an LLC. I went and limited partnership. Sorry, I partnered with someone's limited. I partnered with somebody's self-directed IRA. I went to a buddy of mine and said, roll your 401k over to an IRA and lend me the money, and he did. That's what we did, and I partnered with that. So that was an organizational partnership the last day. If you're partnering with one person on a project, you can both go put your name down, but usually what you can partner is you hold the note, and you be the bank, and so you'll basically have a security interest in the property. That's how some of our lenders are. They lend me the money. They're not on the title as the ownership. They're on the title as the lenders, the bank. So they get paid a certain percentage of a certain thing, have so many payments at what percentage, and maybe a point or two, and that's it. So when we make the money or the loss, they get paid regardless. Okay?
Good. Any other questions?
One of the things you mentioned was looking for landlords that were in trouble. What would be a way to identify that?
Right now, I'm still trying to figure out a way with the new rules of what's going on, but I know a lot of multi-family guys are mostly in trouble because their tenants see each other. You're not paying, I'm not paying.
Right.
So those of them that have mostly single families or 2 units and 3 units haven't come across that as much, but we still market to multi-families. Market to single families too, but there's a lot of them, but I haven't figured out if there's one place they're all going. If I could get the list after applying to the government, if I knew someone in government control of that, find that person, we'll clean up, baby.
Another one too, I'm on a bunch of Facebook groups for landlords and whatnot. I just thought about this as you asked your question, so I have no idea if anybody's doing it or not. But there's constantly people like posting about their tenants and what they can do and how they're owed 50 grand and all this stuff, and everyone's trying to help them, and as far as what to do with the tenant. I usually don't see anybody offering like, hey, you want to sell the place? So that could be an avenue. I don't know if it is or not, but
Yeah.
just an idea. Any other questions? You guys are free to ask questions afterwards too. We're just trying to get to the point.
You're taking on that problem, multi-family situation where you're not paying and you're inheriting that?
Yeah, if you buy it, you inherit that. But then it's gonna be reflected in the price discount you're gonna offer the property. Okay?
So you can afford to take a loss.
Well, you're gonna make more than that in the beginning. So in other words, if it's worth $500,000 and they're owed 40 grand or 50 grand, they're going down in flames, whatever it is, you're gonna offer like 250. So you have a huge upside to deal with it. You're not gonna give them full retail or even close to it. You've gotta get it at a major discount. And there's already been on some news, people were selling their house, they were owed 50 grand, and they sell it for 80, 100,000 less. It's just one more pain source to go to. But you're now gonna offer less. And you go, well, you can't collect, I gotta go in there and not collect. So they're like, yeah.
Depending on what their numbers are when they bought it and how much things have gone up since this all started, they might come out at least even, just stop and leave.
Or way ahead.
Or ahead. So, keep that in mind too. Last questions? Okay, cool. Just a couple quick announcements. Hope you guys enjoyed the presentation. Number one, our next event is not tomorrow, the Wednesday after. We're gonna have Jack Fullerton joining us. Jack's, for those of you who don't know Jack, he is a local kind of legend around the area. He's mainly based out of Orange County, but he does it all over Southern California. He's been investing for like 25, 30 years out here. He used to be a water polo coach. He was a championship water polo coach. Dude never played water polo in his life. So his kind of claim to fame, or his ideas that if you want to be successful, copy success. So copy those that are already being successful. Figure out what they did, and you can apply that to basically whatever your passion is, whatever you want to do. So,
Real quick, so Coach probably told this guy heard from Coach, and went, that sounds like a good idea.
yeah, he goes by Coach. So that'll be next Wednesday. It'll be on Zoom, 6 p.m. That event is free. All of our Zoom meetings are basically free at this point, whether you remember or not. So, and then there was some other, all the books. I think I've mentioned it. You guys can get them on the website. You go to iuric.org. There's a bookstore. If you look on the right-hand side of the website, there's a link. It looks like the Amazon's logo. By the time I said that, you know it's recording. Just click on the link. It takes you to the bookstore for the club, and it's an affiliate link. So anything you click on and you go buy on Amazon, probably have a fun from it if you buy it through the club's website. So it helps us out. And then one last time, if like we saw here, if you're not already a member, who is a member? Raise your hand. So I don't have to rooms already members. For those of you that are not, again, You can join on the website, it's ireic.org. I gotta come up with an easier way to say that. Go to the website, click the thing, become a member tonight and tonight only as part of this event. There's going to be a discount code that's actually written right there. I'm going to put it on the table on the way out. The code is SirCash, and that'll give you $25 off basically your first month. So there's usually a sign-up fee. That's $25, so you get the sign-up fee knocked off if you sign up tonight. And then with that, we give you all of our other events for free, and have some ones. We will eventually be getting back. There's Joe, we see the name. So eventually, everyone's going to get one of these name tags if you remember. So this. The other benefit is like when we have one online out front, you get to come right up. You don't have to check in or do any registration or anything. And we also have like a Facebook group that's for members only. There's a bunch of other stuff you can see on the website. But again, it's the code SirCash. You get $25 off if you sign up tonight. So with that, what am I missing?
Nothing, I was just going to say again, the club for us was a game changer. Between the club and then figuring that out and then starting it with the right for dollars, but then understanding that we had access to some mentors, maybe taking some of them to lunch, hanging out with some of them, figuring out what to do, get some education through them. I tell you, it's been a game changer for us. So I can't stress enough. There's just plenty of options. You're going out there looking for, how do I get this, how do I get this? I'm telling you, it's just right here. And it really was just blew our business up.
On the deal machine thing, because they sponsored the dinner, there's a code or something.
Yeah, that's right. With the affiliates, kind of like Amazon, we have an affiliation with Deal Machine, which everyone was talking about earlier about driving for dollars. It's an app that you can go through and take pictures and whatnot. It makes it really easy to drive for dollars. We used to do it where you write it down on a list, and you have to go skip trace it, and there's a number, you can do it twice, and so forget it. And then we got Deal Machine, and we made a good amount of money off of it consistently. It's pretty much our only lead source at the moment as far as consistency. So if you guys, there's this thing that's backed by the food. It's got this, that's not the one, but it looks like this. It's got a little code at the back there by the machines. If you use that code, you sign up for Deal Machine. It gives you 15 free deal credits. And it also helps the club out too, so a little cut. It doesn't charge you anything extra. It's whatever they were going to charge you anyways, you're going to get charged. You just have to get a little cut from it. Not me personally, the club gets it. And with that, that's pretty much all I got. If anybody has any other last questions, come find me.
Should I go ahead and take pictures of that?
Yeah, you want to take a picture of that, go ahead.
I'll make like
That's a to-do list. That's a to-do list of the things that we do today to get going now, or starting now. And most of what we did, but a lot more. So there.
Feel free to network. I think we have a room for like 1 minute or so, so you guys can hang out. All that good stuff. Thanks for coming.